Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this week's Digital Strategy Chat. This is sponsored you by Denver Data Web. We are a digital strategy company. We help our clients overcome their unique challenges and achieve their objectives, all while applying a goals-focused approach to web development, web design, and digital marketing. My name is David Zonka. I'm a digital strategist with Denver Data Web. And with me today, we also have Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm the digital marketing analyst at Denver Data Web.
Great. Thank you. And to everybody joining in, listening, following, if you have any questions, please feel free to chime in to the comments or chat. We'll be following along there. So I really like the topic we have today because we're going to be talking about some marketing research and marketing planning. Digital strategy is an area that I really enjoy diving into a lot. So what I want to start with first is to pull up some really interesting marketing research. Like I said, we have a marketing survey from 2019 by outboundengine.com. So this is really great. And it has some really interesting stats that I wanted to talk about. That's really at the core of what we're discussing today. And these are 50% of their respondents do not have a marketing plan or did not have a marketing plan for 2019. So yeah, this was just a couple of years ago or last year. 86% of respondents prefer to spend their time on other business activities and spending time on marketing. I can get that. And small business owners, those who spend the least amount of time on their marketing, 36% were unsure how they're going to grow their business in 2019. So I thought these are all some really interesting stats to bring up, and they all kind of go together too, I think, Sarah, because some of these respondents are saying how they're not sure how they're going to grow their business in 2019, at that time. I imagine a lot of this is still the same and was the same in 2020. And a lot of those folks didn't have a marketing plan. And it just kind of struck me when you put those two things together, right? Like, don't have a plan, not sure you're going to grow your business. I mean, I probably shouldn't laugh, but I mean, if we think about what that can mean there, what does that mean to you, Sarah?
It means it would be really, really difficult for my position. Or just any marketing position. What am I supposed to do next? What am I supposed to focus on? Even just having a little bit of direction in one way or another can make a big difference. And having a lot of direction in multiple in multiple avenues can make a lot of difference. So
I really wonder, why does this scenario happen? Maybe that's something we should circle back to. But for small businesses, a lot of times people are wearing multiple hats. Maybe the team that's driving internal growth and strategy isn't, fully fleshed out, doesn't have like individual people specific to certain areas. Marketing can be hard. It's not an easy thing. And it's not necessarily something that brings instant gratification, especially when you think about putting in time to do planning and strategy and things like that. And I can only imagine that that is compounded when somebody where this is outside of their core competencies, perhaps, is trying to manage that sort of thing, right? Maybe somebody has a small
finding
business.
the time for it. It can take a lot of time. The time is better spent if you have a plan, but just marketing in general, it does take a lot of time and a lot of patience, and sometimes can even feel tedious or like it's not really going anywhere. But if you have a plan, it really helps you also see ahead to the next step, and it makes the whole process feel a lot more productive instead of just like shooting in the dark.
Yeah. When people feel it's a productive effort, I can totally empathize with how that can make it feel worth taking it to completion. We got a listener submitted question here. Let's bring this one up. Here we go. I own a brand of handmade candles. That's very nice. That are sold in local shops. Been in business for a while. Never really had a formal marketing plan. The sales are pretty decent, but usually the holidays are the busiest time. But this year, I feel I'm falling behind my competitors. Some of these other brands are doing really well. I'd like to start promoting my sales, but really grow overall awareness of this brand I put together. What are some steps I can take or information I can collect so I can begin putting together a marketing plan? Well, yeah, I mean, just not even having a marketing plan, how do you go about putting it together? I think that's a really great question. Let's dive into that, because I really think that's speaking to the foundation of how marketing planning, strategizing in general is going to impact your company. Even a
That's a
company
really,
that,
really good question.
yeah. What do you think, Sarah?
Um, so the question they asked how to begin putting together a marketing plan, but a better question to start with is why do you need a marketing plan? Do you need a marketing plan at all? If your sales are doing okay, should you even look in that direction? Or should you wait until a point where there's a problem or you're not making sales? At what point should you begin doing that? And do you need that?
Right. She's thinking she needs to put time into that. Is that actually a good use? I think, yeah, in this scenario, it is a good use of their time. For anybody really, do they need a market plan? How do they answer that question? I imagine, 99% of all the companies, organizations out there, um, yes, the answer is yes, you need a marketing plan. Are you going to go out of business if you don't have one? Perhaps not. But anybody, any kind of company organization that has goals and they also have constraints, you need a strategy, right? Because you want to get to, from point A to point B, that's your goal. And you have these constraints that are keeping you from getting there, whether that's capital or money or maybe even time, or maybe you don't have the know-how to do it, or maybe you have the time isn't necessarily the time that you can put in it. Maybe it's the time you have to achieve it. Maybe you want to reach those goals within a certain time frame, right? Those are all potential constraints. Some people, some companies, they have all of those constraints. And the way I see it is anytime you have a constraint like that, you need a plan to get around it. So yeah, I would say anybody, anybody's probably going to benefit from a marketing plan, even new companies, right? Um, Especially
Well,
new companies.
David, what about more established companies like Coca-Cola or Firestone or companies that have been around forever? Heinz has been around since like the beginning of time.
Mhm.
Do established companies that regularly turn a profit on a regular basis or have a product that people are buy for their families or buy for generations or years? Does a company like that need a marketing plan, or are they pretty much on autopilot? Like at what stage if you could afford to just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks, is there ever a stage where you grow out of that, where you don't need a marketing plan?
Yeah, it'd be nice if, you don't have constraints, you have unlimited money and resources, right? Because then you don't have to
Mhm.
plan, right? You could just throw money at it, throw things at the wall, like you say, to throw the spaghetti at the wall and see if it sticks. Is it done? Um, yeah, but even these big companies, they almost, I mean, of course, they most certainly have marketing plans and big marketing teams, and they are playing every year, and they have to. There's certainly what they're thinking of is at a higher tier, right? To think, all right, should we put down millions of dollars on the Super Bowl ad or not, right? Should we invest in this or not? Because at the end they got to answer to shareholders and demonstrate their performance. So yeah, they need marketing plans, and something comes along. There could be marketing me, how do they deal with something that didn't go so well from a PR standpoint or things like that? For small businesses, even if they've been established for a while, it definitely makes sense for a small business to have a marketing plan, even if they have been around for decades, because new businesses crop up. Maybe new competitors, maybe a new way of doing things. You want to have a plan to to deal with that, to not be kind of caught by surprise. You want to continuously be developing your brand and keeping your customers engaged, develop new customers, and it all takes a strategy. So yeah, I think even whether they're new or established, it still matters.
That reminds me of probably about 15 years ago now. I won't say which one, but one of the big department stores got rid of their physical catalog and moved
Mhm.
everything to online. And I think their plan was just to move along with the times. And it
Yeah.
actually ended up being detrimental to the business. So it's interesting how, like, even sometimes a large business like that, when they're planning, it can still kind of go in a different direction. Anyway, that was kind of an offshoot, but we'll continue moving.
Oh no, no,
Um,
definitely. That's an important thing. Like finish line. The store you see,
yeah.
how many years in the malls, right? They sell like athletic wear, shoes and stuff like that. Yeah, they made a big deal about redoing their website some years ago, and it was a disaster, right? Maybe that's another digital strategy chat to talk about and dissect down the road. But yeah, I mean, they spent tons of money on it, and it totally didn't achieve their objectives. And marketing is often not just for fun, or even just to grow brand awareness, but also to help achieve revenue goals and sell products and things like that. And it wasn't working, and they basically like completely reversed course. How much money and time did they waste? What a mess.
It also kind of makes me think about another company that I won't say the name of, who it's a car insurance company, and they spend a lot of money on their marketing, but the
Mm.
actual car insurance and dealing with customer service isn't so great. So it is interesting how like their marketing plans are amazing and everything that they're doing with it turns out really well. But then it's almost like they're allocating budget to one place but not the other place. But it is very interesting when you look at that. So that's an interesting question.
Yeah,
um,
companies might be inclined, if they have a really great product and everybody loves it and everybody knows about it and they don't have any competition, it's like, hey, we don't even need to do marketing. But as I say, sometimes, they first cave woman to invent the wheel, right? It was amazing and transformed the human race. And then somebody else copied that idea and made their own wheel, and all of a sudden there was competition. You don't know when that's going to happen. A lot of taxi companies probably thought everything is going fine, and then Uber shows up and has completely disrupted, personal transportation. So, marketing plans aren't just about like how you're doing things now, but how do you plan for the future and deal with threats. So yeah, it matters.
it definitely does. But yeah, it's interesting because sometimes you do see that a good marketing plan can really take an established business in a really good direction or a negative direction. But it's interesting once you start thinking about that.
Mhm.
So smaller businesses, you had mentioned that a few times. Why don't some smaller businesses even move in any direction with that? Why aren't they putting together a marketing plan from the start?
There's, I think, let me check this research again, because I think there's actually some pretty good respondent reasons from the research that they did. Yeah, there's some great ones here. So some examples, and these all make sense to me because I hear them from time to time, and they're, it's okay. Everybody has their own situation. Um, there's no marketing expertise in our team. We have no budget for this. Leadership don't believe in marketing or marketing plans. Again, limiting budget. Who's going to be accountable for it? We don't place high value in marketing. It goes on and on, right? We working on a plan. It's not really done. Haven't implemented it. The marketing is a genuine plan. We're just very reactive. There's more. I don't want to call them excuses. They're reasons, right? These are, they are what they are. Why companies might not have a marketing plan, and they're all potentially valid, right? Every company has their own circumstances, their own things that they're trying to work with, especially in 2020. It's really crazy, right? But hopefully, I think on the horizon, things are going to get better. Very soon, and things are going to turn around. All the more reason why people need to be planning that sort of thing. But every company has their own situation, their own constraints, like I mentioned earlier, and those can impact. Not having the expertise to know what to do. Um, you know, for certainly, going after resources like maybe some of the kinds that we provide, can help companies without that expertise to figure out how to put together their marketing plan. Don't have a very big budget for marketing. That's one of those biggest constraints, right? Resources, money, capital, that sort of thing. I think as long as you value your time, that certainly costs money too, but it's time worth spent. It's an investment, really. And I think that's a mindset that many companies may not have. Is and I can see it easy to fall into that mindset when you're a smaller company, because there are a lot of costs and you're trying to manage them all the time. But when you develop a plan, when you develop a strategy on how you're going to grow or sustain your company, that is an investment of your time, your energy. And whether you hire resources or consulting to help you do that, that is still an investment. And I don't rightly think any company is going to move forward, much less upward, without investing in itself. So when I hear people say we've got a limited budget, that's okay. We'll figure out what budget you have to work with, and then use those resources to develop the plan and execute the plan as effectively as you can. I think that's really the way to go. But for all these businesses will have one. Yeah, I mean, I think that's just kind of the reality of it. And then the challenge is, how do we overcome those challenges?
Yeah. And throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks can also take a lot of budget too.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt about that.
So on that note, why is a marketing plan important? why can't we just throw stuff in the wall and see what sticks and hope some of it works?
I mean, sometimes it does, right? I mean, there's certainly a lot of experimentation that goes with marketing. Like it's like a scientific activity. Marketing isn't just like art, creating these really clever creatives and designs and campaigns and things. There's a scientific aspect to it that's really important.
You
And
mean it's not like Mad Men?
yeah, right, yeah. Later on, if my children are watching, like, what are they putting in their mouths? Those are called cigarettes. At some point in the future, this will be gone, right? Um,
There was a movie made last year, yesterday, where cigarettes were not even around anymore. That a
yeah,
totally offshoot, but
no, Mad Men's great. I mean, we could have like a whole kind of weekly show just breaking down Mad Men, but I mean, a little bit late to that party, but anyway, yeah, yeah,
in Mad Men's defense, they didn't really have as many tracking tools as they do now. So it may have been a lot more like, let's throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
yeah.
Because I mean, how would they know if they got business from a TV ad or a newspaper ad or whatever? Unless you ask people, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, there's a lot of surveying going on. Um, but it is kind of a cyber, but it's interesting how, marketing has changed over the years. I mean, I'm not a marketing historian, but I do know with how technology has changed with the internet and everything else, internet being the biggest one, it really changes how marketers can do research and get feedback and get measurements and data to attribute the marketing campaigns and to see how engagement is working. And it's only going to get crazier, right, when tracking eyeballs in like a real-time sense from drones and cameras and things and people looking at the stuff, I mean, in a more comprehensive basis. It's almost certainly going to be more and more pervasive. But back then, no, you didn't have that, and so really relied upon people being experts in those particular industries and having the networks and relationships. So you kind of see this process in how decades ago, who you knew and being experienced in that particular industry helped with the marketing itself. But now that maybe not as necessary because you can do that research so easily, so much easier at least. And just having the marketing fundamentals is such a big place. But um,
Yeah,
having a marketing plan be important in general, though. I mean, just the process of planning, right? So
yeah,
helping you to learn about what your competitive situation is, to enable you to make those tough choices. And you have tough choices because you have constraints, and then to align your team, right? So in order to conserve resources, to use your resources strategically, it's understanding the actual scenario that you're in. What is the competition you're up for? What is the net addressable audience that you could sell your product to? um, where should you invest your money then to act on that, and how can you align your team to be working efficiently as they move that forward? That's what planning allows you to do. I mean, whether it's like planning for a battle and war or doing marketing, certainly that's a little bit more dire and mortal in the sense. But from that kind of analogy, it still matters because at the end of the day, whether you succeed or fail is going to depend on how much planning you put in front of it. And certainly, and this is maybe this is an Eisenhower quote or something like that, but no battle plans survives first brush with the battlefield. The situations change, but a marketing plan, I would say, isn't intended to be something that's just like a tome that you just follow religiously. I mean, it's gonna adapt
it's going to
as your
change
yeah.
as your metrics change and as your tracking changes. So with all these tracking things in place, it almost seems like that may be, and I'm probably wrong, but it may that may be enough to guide the planning process. So that what would a marketing plan do aside from that, and do those metrics tie into the planning process in the beginning?
What does the market plan do? Well, I mean, looking at it from like high level concepts, it's going to provide clarity. I mean, it's going to give you clarity into how you can move forward and proceed. What is the route you need to go? If you get this fork in the road, it's kind of like a roadmap, right? I mean, Daddy, what is our roadmap? I mean, we have it on our phone now. I use Google Maps all the time and Apple Maps to get me where I need to go, like the grocery store, because I can't remember how to get there. I got so much other things going on in my head, but yeah, I mean, it's a
Your
roadmap.
GPS.
It's I do the best I can. I'm trying. Um, and when you have that kind of roadmap, that's going to give you confidence. So you're going to be more confident about making the investments you need to make to see them through, because marketing is rarely an instant gratification sort of thing. Maybe there's different types of marketing and approaches, right? Some are more immediate than others, and if you're somewhere on that spectrum of when you're going to get that feedback and results, the longer the time frame is, you may start to get nervous and wonder, oh, is this really working? Should we bail? Should we pull the plug? Having a plan in place that has you spent the time to see how it's going to unfold, and even probably predict how long it'll take to see the kind of results you want. That'll give you confidence to stay the course. You get visibility into what you need to do at each of these steps of ways, and there's also visibility to all the people you're collaborating with. So, you know, a small company may not have a ton of people involved, but there could be higher level business strategy, the company owner, and then maybe a marketing analyst on the team, or maybe even you're collaborating with an outside vendor or something like that. Having everybody on the same page is going to be critical to get the kind of success you want. So having something that you can all draw from, that you can read and review and poke and prod and adjust, right? I mean, that helps. Give structure. Give
Yeah.
structure to the whole process in general. Um, the way I see the typical marketing flow is you starting with, I mean, first you have to understand that yes, we need to do something about our marketing, and then where do you start first is analyzing where you are currently. What is the status quo, even your company or even the market in general that you're in, your industry. Develop a strategy to help you achieve whatever your goals are, with respect to your constraints and how you want to proceed. Implement that in a tactical manner, whatever the different channels are that you're going to be involved with, whether that's social media, SEO, digital media like ebooks, or, just it grows every day, right? With digital marketing.
Yeah.
And then of course measuring, so you talked about all the tools and analytics and stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest changes I would say in marketing in the last 10 years is the ability to measure so many different things in real time even. And so what gets measured gets improved. It's a cycle, and then it just completes and goes over and over again.
Well, cool. I'm hearing positive, positive, positive. I'm hearing nothing but good things and nothing but reasons to have a marketing plan. But on the flip side, what are some of the fallouts or problems with not having a marketing plan?
Yeah, I mean, there's bound to be a lot that it'd be hard to really point out all the specific things that could happen, but really it comes down to misallocation of resources, right? I mean, we talk about constraints. Those resources are things that are a constraint most of the time for small companies. So you spend months and months on a campaign and it doesn't do anything if it doesn't actually bring
It's
you in
throwing a
any.
bunch of money into Facebook for B2B ads.
Yeah. I mean, if it's not really targeted well, and then where's even if the money doesn't feel like it's this huge dent in your wallet or your bank account for the company, the time you can't get back either. Like you can't just turn around like, all right, we want to redo that whole 6-month campaign so that we could have the results we want at this moment. And that that's going to hurt. You're not
Mhm.
achieving your organizational goals, whatever they may be. That's from long term, that is a fallout from not having a good plan in place that helps structure your marketing in order to achieve those. And sometimes it's not necessarily just not having a marketing plan, but not having like a well thought out marketing plan, or or worse, like if your marketing plan is just to hire an SEO company and hope for the best. And I probably said that before. There's nothing wrong with hiring a company. I encourage people to hire companies to help them with their marketing, but you need to be engaged with what they're doing as well. And that's probably a talk for a different day. But make sure that if there's a company helping you, they have a plan for you as well. Because if
Yeah.
they're just throwing darts at the wall, it might as well be the same as you, and you're just spending extra money to have somebody guess. So
And then additionally, I know we've talked about in a previous digital strategy chat about how even just not using proper targeting can cost your company thousands and thousands of dollars a year. So
yeah.
even from the high level stuff, even down to like who you're going to target, who you're going to not target, who you're going to exclude from targeting, that's all those things wrap into it. So it sounds like
Mhm.
there's a lot of positives in having a marketing plan and a lot of negatives in not having a marketing plan. Um, so I guess that being said, I've kind of touched on like a lot of things um, in a minimalistic way. But in general, like what types of things should a marketing plan include? Just high level.
Yeah, there's really a whole spectrum of how you could do marketing plans, down to something like really, really basic to something that's really comprehensive. But I feel intuitively that marketing plan doesn't need to be something that's super complex. I mean, it shouldn't be actually. I mean, the simpler the better, but only as much as that it helps characterize what the challenges are you face and what you're trying to solve, so that anybody who reads it can understand it, especially leadership, at the company. They need to understand it to again buy into it. The people executing on it, they need to understand it's really helpful. They'll probably understand maybe the more tactical things, but it's important that people who might be, like if you have a marketing analyst on your team, or maybe even like an intern. There's so many different structures for companies. The people who are implementing, it's important that they also understand what are the reasons we're doing this. What is the company trying to achieve? Connecting the dots between what we're doing on a day-to-day basis to how this helps the company long term. I mean, that's part of the reason for having a plan in general. When I talked about visibility and collaboration, right? So, the clearer and more straightforward a marketing plan can be, that's only going to serve that. And I don't think it takes a lot of really technical and flowery and complicated language and charts and graphs and other things, and to make that point. But whatever is needed and makes sense to the people involved, that's what matters. But if I were to break it down into different pieces, you're going to want to summarize at a high level the different pieces of it and what it's intended to do. I mean, just about everything that's some sort of report out there has an executive summary, and that's important, because it may be distributed to different ranges of people and their understanding of marketing. So make sure you can break things down into terminology that's really meaningful. You want to really capture the current situation. So you're gonna part of the marketing plan should really capture the current status quo. What are your the typical SWOT, right? So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. You want to capture what the current state is for the company and where that company fits in the current market. You're gonna want to delineate what your strategy is. How you're going to segment your audience that you're targeting, who you are in impact targeting, how you position your company compared to the competition, and how that it fits to what your target audience needs. You want to speak to the tactical programs that you're going to use to implement that strategy. So if you have products that you're marketing, um, how are those situated as part of like the overall portfolio for the company? What are their prices? How are you going to promote them? How are you going to distribute them? If you have services, how does that look in a different way? What channels are you going to be operating in? Social media, or you can use SEO. There's a lot of different things. Or you want to describe those programs, so it all leads to when it's being executed on. It's very well understood. That's why those are being done.
Oh, cool. So it sounds like we only have a few minutes left. But if someone were to want to create a marketing plan from here on out, or I mean, it sounds like it's great. It sounds like there's every reason to do it. How would we go about that? What would be the next step in getting to that
That is, creating a marketing plan, even if it's a simple one, it does have some important steps to it. And you want to make sure you don't skip those. I would say, that's probably a good discussion for another time. And we are working on a resource actually to help companies, small businesses, do just that, create their marketing plan. I would say let's tune back into that. We're going to want to dive in. I think maybe even another digital strategy chat, because creating a marketing plan doesn't have to be super difficult, but if you don't do all the right steps, they're going to make it actually beneficial. That might be a waste of time. So yeah, we're definitely going to dive back into that. And yeah, looks like we're getting close to the end of our time for today. So I think we actually covered a lot, man. I really got into that with the digital strategy things. But look at that. Thanks everybody that tuned in today. We have these digital strategy chats every week, every Friday. So be sure to check for that. You can subscribe on YouTube or find us on Facebook and LinkedIn. And also
every
be sure to
Friday
check our
except
website.
for next Friday and the Friday after, because it's Christmas and then New Year's Day.
Right. Yeah. I might still pop on anyway. You never know, right? But thank you everybody for listening and tuning in, and we'll see you next time.